would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land in which we've gathered today, the Turrbal and Jagera peoples, and I pay my respect to their elders past, present, and emerging. I pay my respect to the past elders because they are the warriors who fought for us to be here today. I pay my respect to the present elders because it is them who I look up to. They are doing important work to continue our culture, pass on traditions, and ensure the survival of our way of life. And I pay my respect to the emerging elders, but it is them who are going to continue our culture and pass on our traditions into the future. I would also like to acknowledge the fact that on my father's side, I'm a proud Kamilaroi and Barkindji woman, and on my mother's side, a proud Balladung and Whadjuk woman. And it's been a privilege for me to be able to grow in this country and to present here today. If I could get you all to close your eyes. I want you to imagine yourself as a grade 12 high school student. You're 2 months away from graduation and you get called into the guidance counsellor's office. The door opens, you walk in, you sit down, and the guidance counsellor turns to you and says, "So, what do you want to do after high school?" And you turn around as the eager grade 12 student you are and say, "I want to go to university." And the guidance counsellor turns to you and says, "Well, university's hard to get into. What else do you have in mind?" Open your eyes. That was me this time 5 years ago. I had peers who questioned me and my Aboriginality, and I had people that didn't want the best for me. But what was the difference between me and some of those other kids? I could go home to both my parents who were first in their families to go to university, even though they had a grade 10 level of education. They embedded the importance of education to my siblings and I. And they knew that the key to our success as a family was through education. So in 2010, as a grade 9 high school student, I walked into the AIME doors on this very university, QUT. I walked into a space that made me feel incredibly uncomfortable, a space that challenged and pushed me, but also a space where everyone was supportive and allowed me to be whoever I wanted to be. But most importantly, they allowed me to imagine what was possible instead of telling me what was impossible. So as a 14, 15-year-old kid, I knew where I wanted to work. I knew that if I could become anything, it would be to become another support mechanism for an Indigenous kid just like me. Because if they had no one at home or at school, or even if they did, I could support them too. I fought incredibly hard to work for the company at AIME. And after a few attempts, in my second year of university, I came on board to work for the Brisbane team. And I can tell you it's been an incredible journey ever since. You're all probably wondering, I guess, what is this thing she's talking about called AIME? AIME is a bridge between university and high school for disadvantaged kids. And we've been working with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander kids for the last 14 years. It started off with 25 mentees and 25 university mentors at the University of Sydney. And since, we've been able to work with upwards of 15,000 kids across 18 universities, over 40 regions, and this year alone we'll be working with up to 10,000 kids in Australia. Not only that, but we've been able to share the model with South Africa, Uganda, and next year we'll be sharing it with the United States of America. At AIME, we are well on our way to achieving our vision of ending Indigenous educational inequality in Australia. Currently, Indigenous kids are graduating high school at 40%, compared to their non-Indigenous peers at 89%. What's so significant about the AIME program is that kids coming through our program are graduating between 93% and 96% over the last few years. We've ultimately been able to close the educational gap for Indigenous students coming through our program. And not only that, but when it comes to Year 12 transitions into positive pathways, our AIME kids are on par with their non-Indigenous peers. We are well on our way to ending Indigenous educational inequality in Australia, but there's more that we can do. We found a way to accelerate young Indigenous people into executive leadership through a program that we built just under 3 years ago, the Co-CEO program. The Co-CEO program at AIME enables one Indigenous person between 18 and 25 to shadow our CEO and founder, Jack Manning Bancroft, for a year. Now, why Indigenous people between 18 and 25? Because, as Willy Wonka believes, I believe that we are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams, and we are the movers and shakers of the world forever it seems. Currently, Australians' leadership does not reflect Australia's populations. According to the ASX 200, there are 14 female CEOs, leaving 186 males. The average age of male and female CEOs in the ASX is 54, with the youngest male being 37 and the youngest female being 47. Today, as I stand in front of you all, I represent three demographics of peoples who have traditionally not been listened to. A young, Aboriginal woman. As co-CEO, I've had the opportunity to oversee our founding site in Sydney, to travel across the country and overseas, as well as work across business areas such as people and performance, partnering, and communications. I've learnt about strategy and how to implement it, how to be a leader in an organisation, and how to put what I studied into practice. This has enabled me to see where I want to be and continue my pursuit into executive leadership. The AIME Co-CEO program is arguably the most time and cost-effective program to accelerate Indigenous leadership in Australia. And not only that, but it's adaptable enough to work across all major industries. Imagine a 24-year-old economics graduate who has the opportunity to shadow the CEO of a top 4 bank for a year, and in that year their learning is accelerated by 20 years and they become the CEO at 35. Imagine an 18-year-old kid from the Northern Territory who has a passion to lower the incarceration rates of Indigenous peoples in custody, shadows the Minister for Justice for a year, and at 19 is implementing a strategy to lower the reoffending rates of Indigenous peoples in prisons. Imagine a 23-year-old business graduate who shadows the Vice-Chancellor or the Chancellor of the university for a year, and in that year they've learnt enough to become the Vice-Chancellor at 28 and later the Chancellor at 35. Imagine a 20-year-old education student who shadows the principal for a year, and from that year's experience in doing so, they become the deputy principal at 28 and the principal at 30. How about, instead of telling people that it's impossible, let's start imagining what is possible. We don't have to imagine about this. It can happen. We are on our way to ending Indigenous inequality in Australia, and we will see the end of Indigenous inequality in Australia in my lifetime. Let's do this together. Let's use our imagination to make this a reality, and let's build an Australia that we want to see.